Hello and welcome to Zambia Today program. I'm your host, Faith Katai. Countrywide, schools have opened and pupils are excited to embark on a new year, entering new grades and eager to learn the latest curriculum. However, as students or pupils return, it's important to address the pressing issue, bullying. This problem goes beyond being merely a childhood rite of passage. It profoundly affects millions of pupils countrywide or worldwide. From classrooms to playgrounds, the impact of bullying can leave deep emotional scars and shape a child's future in ways that often go unrecognized. And so on Zambia Today, we are talking about the effects of bullying in schools. And to help us discuss this topic, I have with me in the studio Ministry of Education Principal Public Relations Officer, Mr. Clive Kalunga. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Sure. So to start with, maybe you can explain to us just what bullying is.
Well, I like the intro from your end that actually it speaks to what really bullying is. I think in a general sense or general meaning, bullying is anything that, are any acts that infringe upon the rights of another individual. And these can be, causing emotional distress. It can be also physical, the physical aspect. And so really bullying is something that has been part of us as Zambia. And exciting as it may and as it continues to be with us in the education sector, we realize that out of all these numbers of students, the pupils, we still have this thorny issue, bullying. And it is a concerning matter that the Ministry of Education is tackling, and we cannot run away from it that it does not exist. It's very much there, and I think we continue to have a lot of conversation around it. So in essence, in short, bullying is any act really that makes a learning environment for any child unsafe, one that leads to mental breakdown. And so this is an issue that really continues to dominate conversation around, parent-teacher conversations.
Okay, so what statistics can you share with us about the prevalence of bullying in schools today? Have we seen any trends in the recent years, especially in our country?
Well, when you look at with the works that have been done by our cooperating partners under UNICEF, UNICEF is very dedicated in the arena of looking after the welfare of children. And so, sadly, the numbers haven't been too good. They are over 60%, one of the highest in sub-Saharan Africa, with the studies that have been done as far back as 2004 to 2024. The numbers show, they show that this vice continues to dominate young learners in schools. And so currently we're looking at over 60%. And in terms of bullying, the girls are hovering around over 65%, somewhere there, and the boys 60%. So you realize that these variations continue to show that there's much more work that needs to be done, and it's quite concerning. Yeah.
Okay, so one would ask, how can they tell if one is being bullied? What are some of the signs?
Well, bullying takes many forms. Yeah, bullying takes many forms. Like I said, it may either be a mental or physical harm that may occur, intimidation. And because now that we're in the digital space, young people are very much present on the online space. And so, just merely sending memes, these so-called memes, the social media trends, some children are picked on by their peers in school. And to identify, to get back to your point, to identify, one of them could be withdrawal. One of them could be a sign of loneliness. One of them another could be an issue of aggression. Sometimes, even the bully tends to create another bully. And so these signs are in variations, and they can be quite difficult for an untrained eye. They can be difficult for a guardian that does not have, apply enough supervision And so the signs from a trained side, and thank God that we have teachers, and this is where it shows the significance, the importance of having teachers in these schools, because they are the first line of individuals that are able to identify each individual learner, their abilities. So sometimes the signs can show from even academic regression. You see that a child who started well in a term, this is a child who was excited to be in boarding school, to be in this school. Suddenly, they don't want to go to school. Suddenly, their grades go down. So these could be some of the pointers. Sometimes even self-harm comes out of bullying. Sadly, we've had very bad incidents recorded in the Ministry of Education, that as much as we are happy to have so many learners, amongst themselves they tend to create gangs. They tend to create camps, if I may call it. And in this rivalry, some have ended up, harming their colleagues. I think some, we've even heard some cases go as far as the courts of law. So these are the issues that we are trying to tackle. So in identifying bullying, one of the key issues is really to have constant supervision. And one can tell that this child withdraw. Why suddenly this child doesn't want to be in school? Why suddenly this child is falling sick? Why suddenly this child has mental lapses? Why suddenly this child has scars that you never saw before? So these could be some of the pointers with a constant eye. An eye that is vigilant one would be able to tell if a child is going through some form of distress under bullying.
Great. So why should school authorities not give a blind eye to bullying?
I think the whole idea around having a school system is to create an enabling environment for every child. This should be a safe space, Each child deserves an equal opportunity to be in a classroom. They are not going to school to be afraid of pupil A, pupil B, pupil C. They are there to have an equal space because these are our future leaders. So teachers or schools are guided at all times with the systems that are in place under the Ministry of Education to identify, to be vigilant. Because if a school is going to have gangs, for instance, in some places where these have been recorded, they tend to create, a bad perception. And if you're going to have pupils staying away from school, then you're going to record low grades. You're going to record low enrollment. So schools always have to be vigilant. They always have to be alert in order to tackle this vice, because it is a concerning issue. Because if you ignore it, the repercussions can be dire, and their life, they're life-changing in some way, negatively. Yeah. So the schools ought to be vigilant at all times, because the creation of a school is to ensure that a child receives efficient and quality education. The provision there is to create a responsible citizen. So why should a child go there and learn how to, defend themselves physically, how to create camps? We cannot stop, peer groupings. These are things you can't change, but they can be supervised. Yes.
Wonderful. So as a ministry, are there specific initiatives or programs that you've put in place as a Ministry of Education to deal with this issue of bullying in schools? Yeah,
outside, for instance, the Ministry of Education has been very vigilant. As of last year, 15th, that was 15th July 2025, the Minister of Education, Honorable Douglas Yakalima, flagged off, he launched the school commitment form. What is this school commitment form? It is a document that is spelled to tackle issues such as bullying. There are various issues that we are trying to intervene in, and among them is bullying. If you were to see the form, actually, you would see that bullying, I think, is on the second spot on this commitment form. Why have we intervened by using the commitment form? We are calling on the learner, the parent, and the teacher to commit themselves that they abide by the rules and the regulations of the school system, that they will stay away from vices such as bullying. Because we realize that if bullying is left unchecked, if it's left to individuals, if it's left to people alone, without the school system being involved actively using the regulations and equally also the law, then we'll be doing ourselves a disservice. So the commitment form was launched. It was done here in Lusaka, and this is one of the greatest interventions that have been done, especially at secondary school level, because the document itself speaks to secondary school. Yes, we're dealing with the primary school level, but you know the primary school level, it's always easy to, you know, identify youngsters here and there, the children, you know, the pupils, the young learners, they are manageable. But at times when it gets, you know, the teen stages, we know the stormy stages, now people, the self-discovery, they feel they know it all now. So at that level, if you don't have anything legally binding, it becomes difficult for a teacher. It becomes difficult for as ourselves as a ministry to manage these young learners. And so that is why we brought out the commitment form, so that they sign and they commit themselves, and there are repercussions for going against this document. So bullying is among the top issues that we are tackling to ensure that we make the school system a safe haven.
Okay, great. So this commitment form that you are talking about, Mr. Kalunga, is it signed in the first term, or every term is signed, or it's signed in the first term for the whole year?
Yeah, basically I think for any learner who's going to spend quite considerable time in a school system, it's a once-off, they sign off once off.
Okay.
So it's legally binding, it's there, it's a regulation, it keeps that learner in check. So if they are moving from Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, all the way up, they already signed. So if anything was to occur, we'll still take them back and say, in Form 1, you committed yourself that you will abide by the regulations of the school. Now, why have you gone against this? So we don't want to create a situation where it's sort of like it's a renewal, but we are having constant engagement by assessing how is there adherence, in short. So it's a once-off for all those pupils that are within that school setting. But for the new ones that come in, of course, they will have to sign. So for any enrollment that occurs, the new learners that come on board, they will be made to sign the form. Their guardians also, or parents will be made to sign the form. Their teachers also are made to sign, because they are agreeing that they'll also actively take part in supervision of these learners. And equally, remember, these children come from home, so they are not left to the school alone. Yes, they spend quite considerable time in school, but these are pupils who are coming from different housing settings. So how they are brought up also matters. So when they go back to their parents will remember, oh, they committed themselves. So whatever they are seeing within the social setting of their children in those communities, they will remember that at all times they ensure that their child has a demeanor that is acceptable and makes it habitable for others to learn.
Wonderful. We now pause for a short break. Don't go away.
Welcome to Zambia News and Information Services, your media and communication hub. Need a professional space? We offer state-of-the-art studio hire for sound and film productions. Experience comprehensive news coverage and in-depth features that bring you closer to the stories that matter. Capture your moments with our professional photography services, perfect for events, portraits, and more. Looking for eye-catching visuals? Our graphic art and design team will elevate your brand with custom solutions. Host your next event with confidence. We provide high-quality conference systems and public address systems tailored to your needs. Contact us today at zanismarketing@gmail.com or call or WhatsApp 0773 809 040. Zanis TV, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. In case you have just joined us, this is Zambia Today program. We are focusing on the effects of bullying in schools, and to help us discuss this topic, I have with me in the studio the Ministry of Education Principal Public Relations Officer, Clive Kalunga. So back to our interview, Mr. Kalunga.
Yes.
How can schools effectively identify and respond to incidents of bullying? Is there any training that teachers are undergoing from the ministry?
So basically what the schools are doing is that within themselves, you know, we have the guidance teachers. And out of that system, there are three core mandates that they undertake, and that is, one of them is recognizing and responding as well as reporting these vices. So remember, I think you and I, back in the days when we were in school, we had these guidance teachers. So what is their main role? Overall, is to ensure that there's counseling. If they identify pupil A has a certain demeanor that is not acceptable, they quickly recognize. And when they recognize, they're able to sit within that committee and find ways. What are they going to do? If, for instance, there's a recurring behavior by engaging other members of the committee. By the way, you know, bullying is usually a repeated behavior. Today you talk to this child, they still do it again the next day. So what do you do? So by recognizing, they're able to keep track. Is pupil A really in check? We engage this pupil, there was counseling that was involved. And if there's no change, they move to another step, and that is, you know, summoning of the parent. And some forms of bullying can be criminal. For instance, violence, you know, physical fights. These are reported to the law enforcement wings. And so teachers are the frontline officials that are there in these schools to identify. So with these three key mandates that they have are very key to ensure that they tackle this vice without, you know, leaving room for it to thrive. I think you've heard a lot of cases in boarding schools, and oftentimes when young learners are interviewed, you find that it's usually, bullying usually thrives from the dorms. Okay, so now that they have these, you know, the dorm masters, they have the teachers that usually are within those dorms, it helps to really recognize and see where the gaps lie. And so we continue to knock on the doors of our colleagues that are managing this system to ensure that bullying is tackled. And by the way, like I said, 60% with the studies that were done by UNICEF in sub-Saharan Africa, we continue to have that high number, which is not so good. And so we are hopeful that as we continue to roll out the free education policy, as more learners come into the classroom space, exciting as it may be, but bullying has to be dealt with.
Okay. So on how can a parent, I know there are parents who are watching this program right now,
yeah.
How can they, I know you touched it, but I would like you to elaborate further. How can they see the signs of bullying in their children? Are there some of the signs that they should look out for?
Well, I think, like I earlier stated, you know, growth, human growth has got stages. Human growth has got, you know, habits. A human being has signs. This is a child, for instance, who's so excited, gets high marks, wants to go to school A, and suddenly, from nowhere, this child, one, feels like, I need to go back home. So academic performance could be one of them. That calls for constant supervision. The report forms, the reporting of the grades, the teacher, parent, or guardian conversation that goes on periodically. So this also could be a way of tracking the child's behavior. Physical signs. Remember, bullying can also take physical form. Tracking a child also could, just looking out for the signs. Yeah, you're able to tell, did you have a scar on the forehead? What's going on? Sometimes they will not open up. Oftentimes, victims of bullying do not open up instantly. They take time because they're afraid of their abusers. They're afraid of their attackers at school because they would have warned them. You tell your parents, we'll deal with you. And so these are the things that a parent should be able to tell. If a random question is passed and the child cannot answer, that is a red flag. Another is, just withdrawal. Yes, children take stages. You find this was once upon a time a loud child. Suddenly in their teens, they no longer talk as much. So there are also their variations. It's either the child is just grown and the mindset has changed, the behavior has changed. But in that change of behavior, what is it exactly that is causing that? Is it just natural, or it is, it is caused by the trauma in a school setting? So also that withdrawal is also another sign that a parent should look out for. Violence also. This is a child who was so good. You had this child, a God-fearing child. Suddenly this child goes into, one They even start smoking. They start, associating in groups that you as a parent would not want that child to be in. Suddenly, they have just this language that you do not understand. The dress code also changes, So all these are red flags. So they need to be interrogated systematically as a parent. At times also at parental level, also we encourage parents to be patient with their young learners, because sometimes it's in a home again that you can exacerbate what already the child is going through. So these signs are in different forms. Some can mask it. They are overly excited. They are so happy, and you think all is well, not knowing that they are masking a trauma. Some, it's just constant illness. They keep falling sick. You take them to school, they are sick. When they are back home, all is well. So you need to a parent needs to interrogate these different facets of bullying, the effects of bullying. Yes.
Great. So what preventive measures does the ministry recommend to schools to create a safer and more inclusive environment for all the learners?
So basically, we have qualified personnel that is stationed, like I talked about, the guidance officers that are there to ensure that each child is given a safe space. Overall, every teacher is trained to look after a learner. Every teacher is trained to look after a learner. I think you've noticed there are certain learners that are so attached to a teacher that, it becomes sort of a second parent. So it's out of that teacher that, from the professional aspect, of them having been trained in the field, they're able to identify. And so we continuously engage our staff that they're able to look out for these. Yes, we have specific teams, specific committees that look out for this. But at a primary level, we encourage our teachers to have a vigilant eye to look out for the signs. Yes.
Awesome. Lastly, Mr. Kalunga, as we come to the end of the program, how has the wider community contributed to preventing bullying and supporting affected learners?
Well, the community continues to be an important stakeholder. Without the community, I think you cannot thrive. Yeah. The community is you and I. The community is the men and women that are within that setting. The community also is also the teacher. The community is also the young learners. For instance, the daily school learners. They are in school for a few hours, they are out there. So they are constant lookout for. Having the PTAs, the parent-teacher associations, these teacher or boards where you have the guardians on board, are very helpful because they're able to identify. I think if you've ever attended these teacher guardian engagements, you understand that they have a higher stake in the management of individual schools. And so the community continues to play a significant role in the way our school systems run. And therefore, we encourage them that they continue to, give us feedback. We are open to feedback. We are open to their engagement on how we can best improve, the fight against bullying, because this is a thorny issue. We know it cannot be done overnight because, look, we're dealing with human beings here. Every year, every term, we have new enrollments. So you're dealing maybe with one bully is out, another bully comes on board. So we need to have the safeguards. And these safeguards can be enhanced by the community by ensuring that at all times we're a team that is a force to reckon with, that we clamp down on any vice that endangers the welfare of any child. Because our mandate is to ensure that quality and efficient education is provided.
Wonderful. Mr. Kalunga, thank you so much for making an appearance on Zambia today.
I'm honored.
You're most welcome. Viewers, that's all we had for you on Zambia today. Thank you for watching. My name is Faith Katai.